The grand hall was buzzing with laughter and clinking glasses, the kind of celebration that promised a night to remember. But one man's temper was about to turn this festive evening into a scene no one could forget. In front of all the guests he stood, face red with anger, and threw his wife out of the room, leaving her stunned and humiliated. Gasps echoed across the room, and whispers spread like wildfire. No one knew what had sparked such cruelty, and the tension was unbearable. Just when it seemed the night couldn't get any stranger, a hush fell over the crowd. An elderly man, dressed with quiet elegance and carrying an air of authority, entered the hall. His eyes scanned the room, and then he stopped, pointing directly at the woman. "She is my—" he began, his voice firm but calm, and the room froze. The words that followed would change everything. Everyone thought they knew about her husband, about him. Suddenly, this wasn't just a story of a husband's anger, it was a revelation that would shock the guests, expose secrets, and turn the night upside down. Who was this mysterious old man, and what truth was he about to reveal? The answers would leave everyone in stunned silence. The guests watched in stunned silence as the old man slowly approached, each step deliberate, commanding attention without a word. Murmurs started to ripple through the crowd. Who was he, and why did he seem to know her? The woman, still trembling, looked at him with a mixture of fear and confusion. She had never seen him before, yet something in his eyes hinted at a connection deeper than she could understand. Her husband, now pale and fuming, took a step forward, trying to assert control, but the old man didn't flinch. "You don't understand," he said softly, but with authority. "She is not just anyone. She is my granddaughter's heir, and this changes everything." The room seemed to shrink as the words sank in. Eyes darted between the husband and the mysterious man, questions hanging thick in the air. Suddenly, whispers of old family fortunes, hidden legacies, and untold secrets began weaving through the guests. Some tried to mask their curiosity, others openly stared, sensing the weight of what was about to unfold. The woman's heart raced, torn between disbelief and a strange sense of destiny she had never imagined. No one knew what would happen next, and the tension in the hall was electric, every eye fixed on the old man, waiting for the full revelation that could upend everything. The room was thick with tension as the husband's face twisted between anger and disbelief. "What are you talking about?" he demanded, voice shaking. "She's my wife. You have no right." The old man raised a hand, cutting him off. "Rights? It's not about rights, young man. It's about truth. The woman you've tried to humiliate tonight carries a legacy that could change lives, and you were blind to it." Murmurs swept through the guests again. Some exchanged glances, wondering how a simple evening party had turned into a dramatic showdown of secrets and power. The woman tried to speak, but couldn't find her voice. Inside, a storm of emotions raged: fear, confusion, and a strange curiosity about this mysterious man who seemed to know her better than anyone ever had. She realized there were pieces of her past she had never known, hints she had ignored, and questions she had never dared to ask. Meanwhile, the guests' whispers grew louder, speculating about hidden wealth, family disputes, and possible betrayals. Some even questioned the husband's intentions, his public humiliation of his wife now casting a shadow on his character. The old man's presence shifted the room, making everyone rethink alliances, secrets, and what was truly at stake. The tension crackled like electricity. Every word from the old man seemed to pull the room deeper into a web of mystery, and no one could predict how far the truth would go or who would be the first to fall. The air in the hall had grown almost unbearable, each second stretching longer as the old man's gaze remained fixed on the woman. Guests shifted uncomfortably, unsure whether to intervene or simply watch the drama unfold. Her husband's face had turned a dangerous shade of red, his fists clenched at his sides, but even he seemed momentarily powerless against the weight of the revelation. "She has been kept from the truth for far too long," the old man said, his voice calm but carrying a force that demanded attention. "What you see now is only the beginning of what she is and what some people would do to claim it." A ripple of tension ran through the crowd. Eyes widened, whispers rose again, and the husband's anger turned into a mixture of fear and disbelief. The woman's heart pounded. Memories she didn't understand began surfacing: strange encounters, secret letters, and half-forgotten stories from her childhood. Could it be possible that her life had been shaped by forces she never knew existed? The old man's words made her question everything, from her husband's intentions to the people around her. Suddenly, someone at the edge of the room gasped, pointing toward a shadowed figure near the doorway. A second unexpected player had entered the scene, and their presence hinted at secrets even deeper than anyone imagined. The hall seemed to hold its breath. Every gaze, every heartbeat, hung on the edge of revelation, teetering toward a climax no one could yet predict. Before anyone could react, the shadowed figure stepped forward, revealing a familiar face that sent a shiver through the room. It was a man the woman recognized from fleeting childhood memories, her father's former business partner, thought to have vanished years ago under mysterious circumstances. The guests whispered in shock. His sudden appearance added a layer of confusion and tension that no one saw coming. "He's back," the old man said, his voice low but charged with warning. "And he knows more about her family than anyone here suspects." The woman felt her stomach drop. Pieces of her life she had long forgotten, the hidden letters, the whispered warnings from strangers, The unexplained wealth in distant accounts suddenly began to fit into a puzzle she hadn't realized existed. Her husband's anger twisted into panic. "Who is he? What are you saying?" he demanded, his voice cracking. But the old man didn't answer directly. Instead, he fixed the husband with a look that silenced him, and the crowd felt the weight of unspoken threats. The mysterious man smiled faintly, almost knowingly, and said, "You've been hiding truths from her, just as much as you've been hiding them from yourself. And now, everything is about to come to light." The hall went silent. The tension was unbearable, the stakes higher than ever, and the audience, both in the room and watching, could feel that the night's shocking revelations were far from over. The room seemed to hold its breath as the woman finally found her voice. "Enough," she said, stepping forward with a courage she hadn't known she possessed. All eyes turned to her, including her husband, whose anger had now been replaced by a mix of fear and desperation. "I won't be treated like this anymore. You don't get to decide my life." The old man nodded approvingly, then turned to the mysterious visitor. "Show him," he said. The man reached into his coat and produced a stack of documents, legal papers, proof of inheritance, and records connecting the woman to a fortune she had never known. Gasps echoed across the hall. The truth was undeniable. She was the rightful heir to a vast legacy, and everything her husband had tried to control or hide was meaningless in the face of it. The husband's face fell. Humiliation washed over him as the guests murmured their shock. He opened his mouth to protest, but the old man's gaze silenced him instantly. "Your arrogance has cost you everything," he said simply. As the woman absorbed the revelation, a new twist struck her. Phone buzzed. A message appeared from an unknown number. Asterisk, "They're coming for what's hers. Be ready." The crowd's stunned silence returned, heavier this time. Even in victory, a new danger loomed, leaving everyone wondering what would happen next and proving that her story was far from over. The woman took a deep breath, finally feeling a sense of clarity she had never known. Surrounded by guests who now looked at her with awe and respect, she realized her life had changed forever, not just because of the inheritance, but because she had found her own strength. The old man smiled, a quiet pride in his eyes, and the mysterious visitor nodded, confirming that she was prepared to take her place in a legacy that had long been hidden from her. Her husband, humbled and defeated, had no choice but to leave quietly, the weight of his actions finally catching up to him. The guests whispered about the night's dramatic turn of events, some still stunned, others inspired by the courage and dignity the woman had shown. As she looked around, she understood that this night wasn't just about wealth or power, it was about truth, resilience, and the courage to stand up for oneself, no matter the stakes. Even with the cryptic warning she had received, she felt ready. Knowing she could face whatever came next with confidence, the hall slowly returned to its celebratory atmosphere. But the memory of the night lingered, an unforgettable story of betrayal, revelation, and triumph that would be talked about for years. She had reclaimed her life, her legacy, and her voice, leaving a mark that no one could ever ignore.